You suck.
Yeah.
And now, Jabroni Studios, in association with Big Herm Productions, is proud to present to you, recording from an undisclosed location in Oakdale, Connecticut, it's Chris Burns, it's Chris Lynch, this is Dysfunction Junction.
You know, I've tried for 2 days to come up with an intro that could possibly fit tonight's episode, and then I said, fuck it. You don't deserve an intro. You, the people, do, who watch our show and understand that we are caring, loving human beings and not the bigoted, racist, homophobe, whatever the fuck that you think we are. So you know what? Fuck you. You just robbed everybody else of a really good intro. Welcome to Dysfunction Junction.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
My name's Chris Burns. Underneath me on the screen is our Duck Dynasty lookalike. He is none other than
Chris Lynch. And I got a haircut.
Uncle Si.
It does look good.
It does.
look
That's
good.
a little part going on there.
Yeah, it's weird. It's nice. It's like somebody pruned a dead tree. It's nice.
Right?
Fuck you.
You got the bowl of soup. You got the bowl of soup right after.
It's like
Nice hair. What's the matter? Couldn't guess your weight?
All right. Back with us after a short absence, straight from Lars Ulrich's garage
He was in
sale.
jail, just county jail. It wasn't anything big. It wasn't real prison. It was just county jail. Let's be honest. Let's not make it any more than it has.
No.
Here's Lars Ulrich's fatter, uglier brother. It is none other than Matt Marsh.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds good. So good.
And of course, the producer extraordinaire, the man with no hair. I had a witty line, and these two morons ruined it. It's Big Herm Michael P.S. Herman.
Hello. What is up?
Are you drinking Budweiser?
Never.
Oh.
What is that?
Diet Pepsi.
Oh, okay. I'm drinking Diet Country as Fuck. Good stuff.
Funny, I remember how popular that was when we were growing up, and I was looking at the sale flyers the other day compared to other beers, and it's like it sells for nothing now.
What?
Budweiser.
Well, there's a reason they lost.
It's always sold for nothing. It's always been a.
I think that was before all the microbrew crap came into play and stuff. And
Well, yeah, but in the last year and a half, they lost a lot of market share with that whole Dylan Mulvaney thing and people walking away from droves.
It's true.
Kudos to Kid Rock, though. Kudos to Kid Rock.
Oh,
You like a beer? Yes, he shot up the beer, but at the end of the day, he said, you know what? I do like drinking that beer. I'm just going to drink it again. I made my point. Who gives a shit? It's the highest selling beer it was. Now Modelo is number one. But
yeah,
come
I
on.
haven't had that. I like the
Neither have I.
commercials. They're kind of
But
luring me in.
if you come to Oakdale, Connecticut, I can tell you where you can find 3 Modelos right now.
You would not want
Dare you to drink them.
Dude, so we bought those for a party we went to about last, I want to say August. And they were sitting in a cooler. And I needed the cooler. So I put them on the grill, and they've been sitting there ever since. So you know how skunky those things must be?
Some ages better than others. Maybe not.
Probably not. You'd be surprised how long beer actually lasts, and beer doesn't actually go skunky.
Yeah, that whole
As
boron
much
base
as
shit.
people
I'm not
say
sold.
it, knowing what I know about how keg systems work, and beer doesn't go skunky as bad as it does. It's not out of date when they say it is either. It's good for about another year.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. The best by date is just a suggestion, honestly.
I wonder if it's
Well,
like
that's why it's a
built-in
best by date,
obsolescence.
not an expiration date.
Right.
Maybe they put something in it to make it go off, so you got to buy more beer.
I wouldn't doubt
You
it.
know what they put in it to make me buy more beer? Beer.
Alcohol.
Yeah, that's all I need.
Barley.
Hello,
hop.
Kimmy, in the comment section.
Hello, hello.
All right.
I gotta pull up the comment
Listen.
section.
Listen, guys. It's. I know we talk a lot of junk, but this time we're coming with facts and logic, and we're not fucking around anymore. I had put up a post not too long ago on the Book of Face, and basically I'm told and Lynch was called some things in there too,
Yeah.
because we didn't agree with somebody blindly. We're racist. We're bigoted. We have no moral compass. And it sparked that sentence that I sent to you guys. Is it hate speech or just speech that you hate? And I like the way Herm worded it in the title. Is it hate speech or just a different opinion? Because I'm gonna go right off the rip and tell you, it is a different opinion. I don't have to have your opinion, nor do I need to. And I said it in my video last night that Matt still hasn't watched all of because he was too tired and Matlock was over.
I didn't watch that either.
That's okay.
I did.
I was actually on my lunch break at work today. I couldn't get through it because my break was over.
That's fine. I mean, it's only 4 minutes. I don't know how long they give you for a break at the boat.
2.5.
No.
EB allows 2.5 minutes to eat
Yeah.
and poop.
I had to
then back
pee and eat a
work.
sandwich at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh,
With the same hand.
oh.
No,
Be
wipe
careful.
with one hand, eat with the other. Come on now. We're not
Yeah.
savages.
Not Iranian.
Jesus. I mean,
Yeah,
if fuck
there
we were
goes-
Iranian, we'd be using the sandwich to wipe. I mean, that's
All right.
I'm left-handed
Vanna?
though, so that would get rough.
Then a cross bigoted off the list was already an Iranian joke.
Oh, you got to be ambidextrous. You got
It's
to be
not a joke if
ambidextrous.
it's true. They use their left hand to wipe their ass.
Yes,
Yeah,
only
I
their
know.
left hand. They do. They use their left hand. Is the
Yeah.
You act like my name is Iqbal, like I know this
right
shit.
hand is the left hand is considered like a secondary hand. It's
You know,
it's
and if
literally like the hands have a class system, and the right hand is the top class, and that's basically the truth.
and I think if they'd had that system here back when I was a kid, I would have been a lot more inclined to learn to
Like
be
you'd have had to
right-handed
use
instead of
we'd
left-handed.
have had to
Yeah,
use
right.
the green handled toilet paper
All right.
instead of the regular toilet paper like all the other kids would have used.
So I have some questions for you, gentlemen.
Oh, I have answers probably.
And I don't care who starts. This is going to be more about me asking questions and hearing from you guys. If you have something you want to ask me, feel free. I don't care anymore. My give a fuck busted yesterday.
Oh,
Got enough shit going on in my personal life to have more shit going on that Herm and I are dealing with on tomorrow night's show to now this, where people just don't understand you're allowed to think differently than somebody else. Starting with Lynch, in your humble opinion, go around the room.
Isn't that what you're doing?
That's the point. That's the
Isn't that
point.
There's
what
a
you're
point.
doing?
What am I doing? Tell me.
I don't know what you're doing. No.
I'm just stating an opinion. I'm not asking you to follow me. I've said it a million times. You do you,
Right,
boo.
and-
Don't force it down my throat.
And that's why I listen. I know what I said in my private message to you twice, and that's why I worded it the way I did. I was polite, but I think I got my point across. And the wording I used was just because I don't agree, you and I don't agree about the message behind the post, doesn't mean I hate the group that it's targeted at.
Mm-mm.
she
I
wasn't
don't-
having that.
I don't understand why that automatically makes me and Chris hateful. Okay, so for those who aren't playing along at home, the photo was of the tampon machine, whatever school they installed it in. I don't remember the details aren't the details are not important at this
It was
point.
in Oregon that I know to be true.
All right. They installed a tampon machine in a men's room. Okay, men's room. High school bathroom. Men's high school bathroom. Okay. The said machine was ripped off the wall and stuffed into the toilet. And somebody took a picture of it. And in my brain, the common sense thing is okay, that's where it belongs because it's a men's room. You don't need tampons in a men's room. And
if you got a mangina,
well, here's the problem with her premise. Because I agree with the fact that it should be removed from that restroom, I automatically am dismissing, ignoring, and pouring hate on the trans community. That's not what I'm doing.
No, everything but that last part. I'm not spewing hate.
No, I'm not spewing hate. I just don't understand what common sense notion would there be? What reason would there be to install a tampon machine in a men's room? If I saw one in a man's room in a casino or in an airport or a grocery store, I would question myself, ask myself in my head, what the fuck is that doing in here? Remove it. It doesn't belong. One of these things is not like the other. And when pointed out that just because I don't agree with putting in a tampon machine in a men's room, you may like Five Guys, I may like Wendy's. Just because you like Wendy's doesn't mean I hate you.
No.
May I say,
it
took everything I had when you made that statement to not throw out, do you know how I know you're gay? Because that would have just started another fucking fire. I like Five Guys. No shit, I heard that about you. And I did, because I wanted to see where you were going. Here's the issue I have. I said it in 3 words, and I was told how wrong I am, but every biology book in the world will agree with me. Men don't menstruate. Sorry. 3 words. That's all it took. Men don't menstruate.
They do
now to me, the reaction of those students is a typical teenage boy reaction. I don't want this in my bathroom. I don't need this in my bathroom. Therefore, I'm going to remove it and put it where I believe it belongs. Is it destruction of school property? Absolutely. That part of it's wrong. Okay. I'm going to agree with that. It is destruction of property that you don't belong. It doesn't belong to you. However, why should they be forced to walk into a room and be put in that uncomfortable situation? Okay, because I actually wanted to have a conversation with her about this, but it just automatically got shut down because the next question I asked is, what common sense reason would there be to have that in the men's room? Just asking. No response. The response was, I don't understand how you two can look at that and not see how it's hateful. It's not hateful. It's not hateful. Those kids may actually have trans friends. You don't know. You're inserting yourself and your feelings and your emotions into everybody's perspective. You keep your feelings out of my fucking head. I don't have feelings about that. I just think it's stupid. Stupid is just a generalized term. There's no hatred behind it. There's no anger. It's just mystifying to me why people make that leap to go that you're just being hateful because you don't want to believe that trans people exist.
It's the easy way out, Lynch. Nobody wants to actually look. My niece Courtney was on that thread, and if you read through it, and I know you did, by the end of it, we found the ground, and we're like, okay, so we're on the same page. The vandalism in and of itself, wrong, but the intent and purpose, I buy wholeheartedly. If they find the kids who did it, punish them, sure. But the intent was pure. But she also, and I don't want to mention anybody's name other than my niece Courtney, when I was decrying and condemning the riots, whether they were in Charlottesville or Ferguson or Minnesota, like, well, if you have a cause, it's okay to burn down a city, like, until it reaches your doorstep. Because if that came to our town and your house got burned down, you would be the first to say, this is wrong. But you're okay if it's NIMBY, not in my backyard. It's fun to watch on TV, fiery, but mostly peaceful. No, that's an oxymoron. You can't do that. The easy way out for a lot of these people is just to cry hate or just to cry and just say, well, you're this. No, I've known you guys for more than half my life. I wouldn't associate with people who were hateful. Do we hate certain things? Sure, that's a human emotion. Okay, we're allowed to hate, and as long as we are free-thinking American human beings, I give the NFL credit. End racism. Stop the hate. We're all in this together. The problem is you can't end it. It's never going to end. But we can do our best. We can do our best to curb it.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring up a point here, Chris. The trans agenda and trans movement is the new racism because people just can't stop talking about it. I know we're talking about it, but that's the problem. But
we kind of have stopped talking about it recently, and the reason, and it goes to my theory, but the reason that the whole trans community thing is so big is because nobody's had a war to protest in quite a while. It's been really, small skirmishes and whatnot, maybe an attack team here, an attack team there, but there's been no battle. Have we noticed that all of the universities and the liberal universities are all discussing the protest on
Israel
and Palestine and that whole step? How much trans community talk have you heard for the last month since it's escalated a little? You haven't.
No, outside, yeah.
You haven't. And that's my theory, okay? They had Vietnam. They had all of the stuff that Reagan was doing. They had Desert Storm. And then we had Afghanistan as a cleanup mission, but mostly it kind of, all of that whole inner skirmish, warring thing with boots on the ground kind of stopped. And when it stopped, what happened? The trans movement, that was their new focus. All of that was their new war, because there was no war that we were involved in to protest. And for the last several years and couple of presidencies, we've had no war that we are supporting for them to anti-support. This is the first one. And if you'll notice, for the last month, the trans agenda has been out of the media almost completely.
Right, and and the same people who are crying in that movement are the ones crying in this movement here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's because
the Israel-Palestine.
So when you give the liberals a war to focus on, that's what they focus on. And when you pull it off, they have to find something else to support. And that's where the huge trans movement came from, because there was no war to oppose.
Do you think that the trans people
got a war now?
Do you think that they're upset about that right now because they don't have a platform right now, or?
No, they're all too busy. They're all too busy holding hands with these idiots who are pro Hamas.
Well, that's what I mean.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think anybody's angry. They're just involved. They don't look at. I don't honestly see that they look at it that way. They're getting TV time regardless of what organization they're supporting. But what I'm saying is that without a war to oppose, the liberal side goes to some other something outrage to oppose, and that was the trans movement. If there had been some steady warring going on, the trans movement wouldn't even be a real fucking thing. They'd be too busy opposing the war.
Can't say I disagree with you.
No,
and the same thing happened with gays, and I have no problem with gays at all, in any form. Love is love. Do your thing. But when the wars in Vietnam and the wars and some of the wars we were involved in took higher precedence, their movements all took a back seat because the liberal side was focused on the war. And you can see it throughout history. It's a brief period of not really a lot of war, and then you start looking at the numbers, and they will correlate. It's really weird when you start looking at them.
No, you make a valid point, and as far as that's concerned, I can see that logic clear as day.
And I'm not saying it to be hateful. I'm just saying the protesty thing, the focus moves around depending on whether or not there's a fucking war going on that we're involved in.
So with these people, though, and I pointed out two of them in that thread, and I said as much in my video last night. You get bent out of shape when I oppose this transgender ideology. Look, and Lynch knows it too. We know trans people. They have treated us with respect. So they get the same respect in return. It's a two-way street. I very much enjoy that. However, when you tell me I must play the pronoun parade, fuck you. When you tell me, well, you're bigoted for saying this, you're bigoted for saying that. These are the same people who on the daily are spewing anti-religious things on their page. I happen to be a somewhat religious man. I don't say anything until it's time to say something. Oh, so I'm a bigot here. You did this. You can't have it both ways. Either we're all on the same page or we're not. You can't have kindness your way. Herm and I talked about this before when Lynch was on his hiatus a year and change ago. They don't want equality. They want equality of outcome. They want what they want, and that's fine. You can want in one hand and shit in the other and see which fills up faster. You got to do the work. You are not going to demand compliance. It's the most anti-American thing you can do.
Well,
and especially it's her. One moment, please.
No, go ahead.
Sure. I apologize. I said in a post last night, the National Socialist Movement wanted to silence people who didn't blindly agree with them and use their platform to eradicate the Jewish society off the planet. And while some of these crazy leftists, not Democrats and not the left in general, the crazy leftists want to silence anyone who opposes them. Who did that? The Nazis.
Hitler.
Who are they calling Nazis? Anyone who opposes them. They're guilty of the thing they're accusing you of.
Well, it's because they don't understand it.
It's deflection.
They don't understand what a fascist is. Fascism has been distorted since the time of Hitler, through the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and up until current times. You had people using it for a very long time that didn't understand what the term actually meant, and it got misused. So it became a joke, like oh, you don't like red socks in my house? Oh, you're a fascist. It's just ridiculous little things like jokingly you would say. So it applies to anything negative in young kids' heads now.
Misogynist is used similarly.
Misogyny is another good one.
That one video of that girl being called out on the carpet. What is misogyny? Define it.
Oh, that she runs away and cries.
She leaves.
The other word right now is feminism. Because
Feminism's
don't. The girls who use it the most don't understand the movement.
No,
they don't know the history. And they don't want to know the history because that would prove to them that what they think they're fighting for, is completely fucking ridiculous.
Yep.
And if I were to stay today to a room full of females, there is no such thing as a wage gap. I would get fucking lambasted. I would be called a misogynist. I would be called this. I'd be called that. There is proof as to why there isn't technically a wage gap. Men work longer hours. They go to more skilled and detail-oriented jobs. Engineers, doctors, physicians, you name it. They tend to gravitate towards higher paying jobs. They work longer hours. Women want to have a banker's schedule for a reason. So because they're typically home to raise the kids. They want to be home in time to take care junior to basketball or softball. So, but when you arm yourself with those little factoids that there really isn't a wage gap, it's illegal to pay Matt a different wage than it is to pay Pam for the same fucking job. That's illegal.
I think it depends on the job criteria, like an hourly employee type thing. But if you're talking like CEOs of companies, I mean,
there are women billionaires.
Yeah, there are.
And they if you plucked Jeff Bezos out of Amazon and replaced him with a woman, they would pay her the same. It's just the way it is, because his actual salary from Amazon is not the billions of dollars he makes. His actual salary is much, much lower.
Oh yeah.
He makes his money elsewhere. He makes his money through stock investments because he took the money he made once the public a company went public and made a gajillion fucking dollars.
But he's also an owner operator. It's a little different.
Correct.
Than
So it's a
appointed
little
CEO.
right. But you take any other business like let's say Procter and Gamble. I think CEO is a woman.
You're right.
What?
You take another Mattel.
I saw
There's another
that.
company,
Stop it, Herm.
another company CEO, Mattel, is a woman. So to tell me that they're not working hard and getting to the same scale as a man is ridiculous. But because I say something like that, I must hate women. I must agree with all the bullshit that's a negative against women. No, some of my people I hold in highest regard in my life are women, and my closest friendships outside of you guys are with women. Because growing up, I was picked on. Girls didn't like drop themselves at my feet. But when I did get a girlfriend, a guy would never lie to me and say mean things in order to fuck somebody else. That's what women did to me. And honestly, a guy would lie to me. So I became more close to women because I trusted them more.
Yeah, it's actually easier. It's the same reason in AA sponsorship and in some of the 12-step program sponsorships. You actually are supposed it's men for men and women for women. Because it's easier for a male or a female and
to relate,
to manipulate the opposite sex on a human to human biological, we're both animals, different sexes level, than it is as soon as a guy starts bullshitting you, you have a tendency to be right the fuck on it, and a lot more than your brain system wants to double check it against a possible attractive mate, female biological thing. You know what I mean?
Right. But that's just me. And I'm not that guy. Just like Burns said, I'm not that guy. I don't hate anybody. Well, there's a few people I do hate, but I hate that the world is in a really strange, fucked up place right now. I do have a lot of hate for that. It's just because we can't talk. We are our own worst enemy in America. Is population of how many over billion people are in this fucking country. We just don't learn from our previous mistakes, and we just keep beating the same dead horses over and over and over again, expecting a different result, and that's the definition of insanity. We have to talk. We have to work through differences, but people don't want to do that anymore. It's easier to point fingers and scream at each other and just say you're wrong than it is to actually engage in conversation. And that's what I was disappointed in yesterday when that person wouldn't take it to an actual conversation. I wanted to talk about this. And I didn't, and I wasn't a smartass. I wasn't sarcastic. I wasn't being a jerk. I was very polite.
No.
And the non-response I got was exactly what I expected. And I was hoping for something different.
Yeah, but you were hoping for something different, but this isn't anything new. I mean, this is how these people operate.
Right, but sometimes I go into engage in conversations with people like this in the hope that they actually take the.
But I see where Matt's going. You go in with an actual unreal with an unreal expectation. Because I when I start engaging in conversation, we talk banter back and forth. People don't want to do that. That's why we do the show, because this is a freak thing. That's the whole point. Freaks. Because it's not normal.
Right.
It's and that's the whole point. But the rest of the world isn't our show. The rest of the world stays pretty much the same.
I get surprised once in a while when people who I don't know will engage me and we have a nice conversation. We'll take it to PM. And at the end of the conversation, we're like, I can understand your points. And I understand your points. Mm-hmm. No harm, no foul. I'm not yelling and screaming in all caps, underlined, bold, screaming at this person, telling them they're fucking retarded or whatever. It ends on an amicable note.
I'm going to go back to a point I made in the video and further in conversations with my daughter since she has become a young woman. You know, she's 16 now and she's seeing the world through eyes that I never thought she would have at this age, because a lot of shit goes on around her that she just can't believe is actually happening. Feminism is dead. The feminism that we know, that many of us support, that many of us look at and go, yeah, go get yours, girl. That feminism is dead. Because we watched since the equal rights movement of the 50s and 60s and through the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, even the 2010s up through and including about, I'd say 2015, 2016. It was about raise women up. You got some equality here. Great. We'll start with suffrage in 1920. Okay.
Right.
Women can now vote, which is great because women are adult human beings. They should be allowed to vote. So let's move forward. Now women can go out and have CEO careers and be billionaires. Great. Let's keep moving the needle. And as it goes up and up and up, and we're finally becoming this wonderful, equal society, the modern day feminists will say, as that needle is starting to get way up here, almost to 100%, trans women are women.
You take the whole movement back.
Because what
I
you're
agree with
saying is a man can be a woman, which is incorrect. Let's call it like it is. I cannot produce a baby inside of me any more than a woman can get prostate cancer.
Well, look at what it says in sports. It says that men can be better women.
Exactly. And that's what pisses me off, is that they don't see that right in front of them. There's a reason why there's men's sports and women's sports. And as the father of a student athlete, this pisses me off, because the first time I hear about some chick with a dick playing basketball, elbowing my daughter, if it's another chick, I'm like, get yourself up, brush yourself off, and go back and do it to her. Now a dude's going to do it? First, biology. Let's go with logic real quick. 9 times out of 10, and there are anomalies. We all know this. China, Nicole Bass, a lot of these women existed that were better men than men.
Yeah,
can we agree?
Built like brick shithouses.
Correct. Men are, by every study done over thousands of years, denser bone, more muscular, faster. Their hand-eye coordination is just a tad bit better in now coming into 70s, 80s, 90s, and now this century. That's leveled itself out. I'm going to say this now. You're not doing women any favors by allowing men to go out there and take their opportunities away from them.
Absolutely not. There's a high school that's going through this. I wish I remembered it. I saw a little piece of it on scrolling on lunch. I read the news or watch the news. There's a high school somewhere where there were 5 female athletes who refused to compete against a trans athlete, and they got suspended. The 5 kids who didn't want to compete against the trans person got suspended. They're being punished because they're standing up for what they believe. What the fuck kind of message does that send? I can do anything I want. I can pitch any fit I want. I'm going to get my way. We're raising a generation not only of delusional people, but fucking spoiled people.
You know where that started? And because now I'm going to put on my coach hat. This all started with everybody gets a trophy. There are no losers. Kids weren't taught how to lose. We were all taught how to lose. Dad whipped our ass in Monopoly. Mom whipped your ass at Connect 4. The first time you beat your parents at Uno, you lost your shit. You have reached the mountaintop. You were standing there with MLK and Jesus and Socrates. You were king shit of penis people when you beat your parents at a game. Kids weren't taught how to lose. Then it was, well, everything you do is wonderful. You're the best. No, not every kid can be the best. You are the best kid in my life. And I've said this to a lot of kids that are in my life. I've said it to Herm's kids. I've said it to other people's kids. You're pretty cool. You're the best. I don't tell them they're the best ever that ever walked the face of the earth and drew a breath. but we've given them this false sense of confidence. I paint with a broad brush. I don't think anybody in this panel has done any of this with their children.
It was Gen X.
Yeah.
Yeah, our
It started
generation.
with us. It started with us.
Our generation produced the first generation for some reason, the wildlings that we were, a lot of them turned into helicopter parents.
It goes the other way.
They completely over fucking corrected, unfortunately, and Gen X created the first generation of helicopter parents because prior to every parental generation prior to us being parents, kids were to be seen and not heard. Our parents were when they were being raised were like they were just employees of the house. They weren't even allowed to be seen or heard. They just like you know what I mean?
I'll tell you.
No, you're right.
So our generation overcorrected and created the first generation of helicopter parents.
And then it got worse.
It's and then the helicopter parents and it got worse and they organized.
Yeah.
But they evolved.
Funny story is when I was about 11 years old, I was at my dad's father's house, and my dad looked at me after my grandfather was joking and coking around about something. My dad tapped me on the shoulder and said, "See that guy right there? That ain't the same guy who raised me. See this relationship that you and he have? I didn't have that."
I said the same thing to my kid.
And at 11 years old, I'm like, Grandpa hasn't always been like Red. He's like, "Oh man, I told you he was a hard ass. You did not talk at the dinner table.
No.
It wasn't, hey, how was your day? It was you ate, you got up, you did your homework. They went off to smoke Marlboros and drink Budweisers or Schlitz and watch the news. You report back after your homework's done. They look at it. You go to bed. There was no communication." He said, him joking around and laughing with you. He's like, I don't want to raise you the way I was raised by him. And so every generation, and you can go back, and I was talking to my grandmother and about her mother, and that I was lucky enough to have a great something in my life. And they said, "Oh no, if we weren't working out in the fields, we had no life."
Mm-hmm.
So every generation does kind of overcorrect for the next. It's just that our generation, like Herm said, we went way off fucking course.
Yeah, well, like that's the thing is every generation kind of course corrects, but our generation went.
We didn't course correct.
We turned real hard. We didn't just course correct. We overcorrected and went too far the other way.
Exactly.
And then after that,
not all of us per se, but a large amount of us, and an amount large enough that it had an effect on following generations.
Matt, you have stepchildren, right?
I do. I have stepchildren.
How old are they?
20 and 21.
Okay, so and were you around for like to say early preteen years?
Yeah. Yep.
So they're about 10, 12 years from then to now. How were they at that age?
It depends. A lot of that depends on. There's a lot of different factors involved in that.
Right.
I'm probably not in the ideal, the norm on that because my wife had lost another child early on, and when that happens, you tend to hold on very closely to what you have left.
Right.
So it doesn't so much become. It's not like a hell, but like kind of going to what I was getting at with it got worse. Helicopter parents, the next generation turned into something called lawnmower parents. Whereas helicopter parents got the name because they would hover over the kids, and lawnmower parents were the ones
constantly, checking and bouncing back and forth,
right,
and hovering and making sure everything's good, and and then lawnmower parents.
Lawnmower parents came in and they paved the way. not the kids, any time that the kid ran into any kind of opposition or anything like that, whether it was in school or in a play group or whatever, mom or dad would run in there. So there was no challenges, there was no growth potential, there was no way to soothe, self-correct, self anything, because the parents were always there. So you raised a generation of kids into adults that basically didn't know how to do anything for themselves, including job interviews. I mean, what have you.
No, and that's a very sad fact, because my wife's a recruiter for her job, and interviewing these kids fresh out of college or just about to graduate, 23, 24 years old, and what their expectation of what their salary should be and what they self-worth at is way off course as to what the real world will provide you. Because that's the scam about college, is that
the problem is that it's not the college. The problem is the student. The student doesn't understand what college truly is. College is a chance for you to develop your own ideas. It's also a chance for you to gather the basis of knowledge to execute a job that requires certain knowledge. You don't know everything there is about banking when you graduate with an accounting degree or a degree in finance. You know the minimum to get by and get an entry-level job, a decent job, doing what you're doing. Okay. The problem is they don't understand that that's what that means. All college means is that you showed up somewhere for 4 years, paid attention enough,
and you made it through
test, and you made it through, and you showed up every day and every time you needed to. As an employer, what that shows me is you can show up for a task repeatedly every day.
So my father always told me college is to prep you for just what you're saying, and it shows that you can be taught. Because you've learned a lot in college. You are trainable. That's what college is supposed to be for.
Right. You show up when you're supposed to. You're trainable. You can think. These are all aspects. And right. Well, not necessarily. Well,
that's what they want to call it.
Well, yeah. To a degree, it's all critical thinking is being able to take in all the information,
right, and process it.
However you process it doesn't mean you process it a specific way.
But I've listened to some of these students tell you that the only way you're going to learn critical thinking is to go to college. But these same students are also the ones that bitch because they're like, well, the 4 years that I went to college, that was the experience for the job. No. That's not
at
the
all.
Experience. That doesn't dictate your salary. That's
they handed you a toolbox and said, "We together are going to fill this toolbox." Now, when you walk away, we give you that sheepskin paper that says,
"You went to a trade
school." Numbnuts.
Well, it's a little different.
No, I'm just saying. That's why I'm in. It's a lot different. But if you went to a trade school, when you got there, they handed you a toolbox, and then they spent the next 12 to 16 weeks teaching you how to do the job.
Exactly.
Going to a journeyman apprentice. Yeah.
At a third or a quarter or a sixth of what a college education would be.
Right. And going back.
Right. You come when you graduate, you're licensed. You're on. You can show up anywhere and do the work. You can start your own company right then and fucking there and be legit.
Going back to what I was saying, nobody goes to law school and is trying the O.J. Simpson case the day they get out. They hand you an empty box first day.
You're running files, bro. You're
right. You are a clerk.
You're a clerk.
You're a clerk. Here is a box. We are going to fill this box full of the tools you need. So when you walk across that stage and mom and dad are so proud and grandma's going, "What are we clapping for? Did Bobby Vinton come on the stage?" "Grandma, pay attention. Your daughter's going to grow." "Oh, yes, sweetie. Hello." We have now filled this box full of tools. Take these tools into the world. I went to college briefly. I learned more by reading books, many books, with differing opinions. I had a book one time about the case against socialism that my daughter at 13 years old bought me for Christmas. I'm like, okay, she's listening. But then for Father's Day, she bought me another book about Marxism and said, I've heard this is a good companion piece. I saw it on Amazon. So I read that one too. Okay. I've learned more by reading, observing, talking, and listening than any college could have ever taught me. Guaranteed.
Everybody learns
And I
a
don't
different way.
Absolutely.
Because I'm verbal. Foreign language comes very easy to me. I took Spanish and French and Latin in high school. Latin I love, Spanish I love, French I hated. But when it came to actually testing, I had to do it verbally because that's how I can speak it. I can hear it. It's just from here to here was a disconnect. And my Spanish instructors always said, verbal test, we'll do it every time. And I aced it every time. Everybody learns differently. Now, I learned a shitload in college, but because I went to school for something kind of very specific. I went to school for forensics. So you're learning some pretty cool shit there.
Way to go, Quincy.
Yeah, Quincy. But back to my point
college, and my college is more hands-on. My college is hands-on, and people disagreed with me, but it's more akin to science. It's more akin to being a doctor or a surgeon. There are so many physical techniques you need to use and tools that you know what I mean? Like being a nurse, you've got 8 million tools to use. I do too, and everyone has a specific job.
Yeah, every tool has.
Mike, you still had to take basic core curriculum, though, didn't you, or no?
Yeah, small amounts. Yeah.
I do want to say one thing before we go on. The comment section, we can't get the conversation's deep. Thank you, JR, for chiming in. Thank you to Cammie for chiming in. We love the comments. I've been reading them all. I'm trying to make a particular point whenever somebody puts something up. Guys, stick with us. Just we're gonna run and we're gonna have a good time. I do want to. Somebody said science. You did, Herm, about your particular college curriculum.
Well, yeah, like a science, more towards. Well, it's art and it's science, but
sure.
How many tools does a finance major run through? A calculator, an adding machine, a computer,
a pencil or sticks. Yeah, yeah.
Going into medical and there's a lot of equipment that you need to know how to use. You go into science, there's equipment you need to know how to use for that degree. And culinary is kind of that same way in that respect.
Okay, I want, if anybody's going to watch this and clip it and get me ready to be canceled, 3, 2, 1. At 48 minutes of this broadcast, I'm going to bring you 3 words that we were all told 4 years ago. Can everybody read that?
Yep. Trust the science.
I admire the folks at Pfizer and some of the other medical facilities for fast tracking. It was Operation Warp Speed. One of the few good things I can tip my hat to President Trump for was getting vaccines out there on the market so we could, try to get past the whole COVID bullshit. But we were all told, trust the science. The 3 words, trust the science. So when I say that to these people that want to call us, and I say us, I'm going to put Herm and Matt in the same boat with me and Lynch, but we're doing the rowing. Why are we bigoted? Why are we phobic? We'll talk about words another time because you're just appropriating words now. But the science says, 1, male is male, female is female. That's science.
Because they're not going to, because it doesn't fit their agenda.
I said in my video last night, and I'm gonna again. If you guys if some of you guys out there watched the video, great. For those that didn't, I was diagnosed 2011, with not manic depression. I don't remember what the word is, but it's somewhere in the middle. Clinical depression sounds about right. I'm not medicated, nor do I want to be. I've been in therapy since 2011. I've doubled up since my dad passed just to get past the grief and all of that. And it is a mental illness. Does it mean I need to be locked up? No. What it means is I have a mental illness. Now, if anybody knows what the DSM-5 is, it is basically the standard for mental illnesses. Do you know what's listed in the DSM-5? Gender dysphoria and gender dysmorphia. Those are mental illnesses. Does that mean these people need to be locked up? No. Do I ask you guys to stand down because you may trigger my depression? No. First of all, because I know you'd all laugh at me. And second, because you busting my balls makes me feel better. It brings my mood up. If you guys are busting my balls on the square, you're not being shitty about it. But it's a mental illness. I'm not hiding from it. But to listen to people say it's not a mental illness, this is their true feelings and this and that and the third. If I got a dick, I can't be a chick. Well, I feel male. Tell me what it's like to feel like a male, because I'm a male. I know what it feels like. I asked my daughter that same question. Emma, do you know what it's like to feel like a man? No. I've asked random women for the last week, do you know what it's like to feel like a man? No, I can't answer that. You're right. You can't. You may feel masculine. There are masculine women. There are feminine men. For Freddie Mercury, anybody? I'm just going to say this once. Just because you think it doesn't make it so. And I'm okay. I personally am okay with the fact that I have a mental illness. And if my words help somebody out there to actually see through the bullshit, good. One person, that's all I need. But I'm going to say, what up, Brian? I'm going to say this again. Gender dysphoria and gender dysmorphia are mental illnesses. You don't deserve to be locked up, but you also don't get to demand. Now we're going to go on the word parade because I'm hot. Somebody was waiting for this. Let's start with the word bigot. Nobody's bigoted if you don't think transgenderism is what it is. You want to live your life. Just don't force it on me. Phobia. Anybody take a stab at it? I don't even need to go to dictionary.com. I have three intelligent people here with me.
It's an irrational fear
of someone or something. Nobody's afraid of trans people. Phobia does not mean hate. Get over your fucking selves. Next, racist. Like Herm said, we can all be a little racist.
When I'm driving.
Well, when he's driving or when I'm going to Canada, because other than about 8 people that I'm going to be seeing at a wedding in September, I hate most Canadians. I don't know why. They're America's top hat. I really don't give a shit. And that's a goof, guys. Please don't. Chris, Canadians. No, I don't get it. But it is what it is. I don't hate anybody.
Well, technically, that's not racism. Because a racist is a person who is prejudiced against or antagonistic towards people on the basis of their membership in a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized.
Yeah, that doesn't fit anybody on this panel. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, nor does that apply, or Canada. So we can.
No, I know. Oh Jesus. Okay. Can you bring up JR's question, because I'm going to laugh at this. I'm going to use this at the wedding. Is calling Canadians snow Mexicans racist?
Only if they're dark skinned.
What's the criteria?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you asked just in itself is
that's kind of racist.
That's racist. There it is.
Good job, JR.
Good job.
We present to you the Trojan Ends boner of the week.
Holy shit, Grandma might be a racist.
Said earlier.
Yes, yes, it is. That's why it's only done in small circles.
How hard is it? And to go back to my point, how hard is it to, let's do it again, trust the science? If you're asking me to trust the science about an experimental vaccine, and that at OSHA, which is not anywhere in the scope of trying to do this, tried to mandate to everybody, the federal government got sued.
Let's trust the science.
Let's go. Talk to me.
Okay, so
let's wait a minute. Can I finish? Can I finish the sentence?
Go ahead.
If we trust the science and say we're in the middle of this worldwide pandemic, and this vaccine, which has a very limited test run, not proven, but you have to take it in order to live your daily life. Okay, I trusted that. I took the jab. Basically, I had to. Several of my clients are assisted living and old folks home. I'm not bringing Black Plague of the 21st century in there if I can help it. But when trust the science is kindergarten cop, boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. Why is that science not okay? And with that, I turn my I what do they say in Congress? I acquiesce
yield.
my time. I yield my
yield.
time to the gentleman from Colorado. Thank you, Lynch.
All right, so let's trust the science. All right, so we don't. Here's the thing. So there's a bunch of different sciences, right? Like genetics and male versus female, that falls under like biology, right?
Right.
All right. So if you don't like that science, all right, and you've decided you don't that science doesn't work for you and you don't care about that, well, then if the trans thing technically doesn't fall under any of the biology science norms, then you've got to find another science under which it falls under, because everything falls under some form of a science. So
I like where you're going.
If it's not a biology science thing, well, I don't know if you know this, but medical doctors and surgeons, and it's all medical, but it all falls under the science. There's no art of surgery. It's all about science of the body and surgery. So if you're going to trust the science and none of it falls under biology, then the only leftover science that biological male thinking that he's a female can fall under is psychological science.
I like where you're going.
If it falls under psychological science, then it's some sort of a disease or a sickness.
Or if it's in the DSM-5, it's a fucking illness.
Yeah, I want to touch on that for a minute.
Science has to govern something, guys. If it doesn't govern the biology, it has to govern the psychology.
You guys run with this. I'll be right back. I like what you said, and it goes right back to the DSM-5.
So you can either prove you're a man or prove you're a woman when you were born otherwise, or you can accept that you're sick.
Yeah, I'm going to wait for Chris to come back.
I want to say this before I go. Going back to what you just said about mental illness and biology and this, that, and the other thing, I can't be a woman any more than Herm can be a bicycle. And we're going to leave it there. One of the comments I saw, and talk amongst yourselves about it, talk amongst yourselves about it was, well, who cares if somebody wants to identify as a unicorn? How does that hurt you? It doesn't hurt me.
It doesn't. And they're completely allowed to their own delusion.
That was the thing. It doesn't hurt me in the four walls. It hurts me that it's going to be accepted, and then it's going to run further this way or further this way. And now we have, I don't know, somebody's going to say, you know what? I identify as a chair. Fuck you. This identity pronoun parade bullshit has got to go. Ryan Springer wins the day. He identifies as an Apache attack helicopter. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves. It is a mental illness. I'm sorry, but for me, I'm going to say this. If you suffer from a mental illness like I do, get yourself some fucking help. I'm not saying don't live your life the way you want to. I'm just saying address it, accept it, identify it, and correct it. It doesn't mean
saying homosexuality is a disease either at any point.
No,
shape,
absolutely not.
Different.
I don't think.
All right, I'll be right back.
I'm a man. I know I'm a man. I find men attractive. I get that. I do not think that's. I think trying to ignore the biology. All right. Because technically, love is a little bit of biology, chemically, and a lot of psychology.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, and
So
I completely agree that it ties together.
Right. and they'll tell you that's just love. So, but I think thinking that the whole biology of oneself and thinking it's not right, I think that's I think that's I think it's a disease or a condition. I don't know how to say it so it's the least amount of offensive. I am not I don't hate them. I don't agree with it, and I think something's not right.
And
I
it goes back to. Go ahead, Matt.
And it's
No,
not
no,
a
I'm gonna wait
behavior
for
I
Chris
would
to go
coddle
ahead.
in a
Right.
child.
And it goes back to what I said a couple weeks ago. It's you have to treat the actual problem. The actual problem is your dysmorphia or dysphoria. It's not a feeling. Yeah, I mean, it turns into a feeling. It's something that you see something wrong with the body you're in. Trust me, every child goes through that. I went through it. Herm went through it. Matt through it. Burns. Anybody who's watching went through that, as male or female. You don't understand what's going on with you because you're 10, 11, 12, 13 years old and you're changing every fucking day. I get that.
Yeah, but I
understand
mean,
that.
like,
It's a weird time.
but I never question. You know, you start feeling certain things, and you get a fucking hard on all of a sudden.
Well,
Yeah, that
right,
was
and,
awesome.
You know what I mean? And you're and I mean, and I'm being crass, but you get a hard on. You're looking at a girl, and all of a sudden you're starting to put two and two together.
right.
You
Now-
know,
And
you're
then you have
looking-
18 years of child support.
you know, and that's under normal circumstances. But that's for me, that's kind of all there really was. You just wow,
now what?
that girl's.
And when
kinda
I was
pretty.
when I was a kid and I started having those feelings, okay, I like girls, and you grow up and you have a nice life. But I'm riffing off what your definition of love is. My definition of love is once you hit a certain age in your life, like right around our age, love is love. You can love anybody you want. If Megan were to get hit by a bus tomorrow, and I met a guy that we can just connect at a level, not saying romantically, but you can fall in love with a man. It's okay.
I mean, humans are really, really, really unique, guys. Other than maybe dolphins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're the only set of top primates
That has a
And-
recreation.
well, we first of all, we're really the only animal that enjoys sex just to have sex, not for the
Right.
purpose of just to procreate.
That's what I said.
Also, the way our bodies are set up, we're completely set up that we can satisfy either gender equally with with the tools that we have to work with, female for female and male for male.
Scissor time.
I'm just saying, I'm not trying to be crass or disgusting. I'm just saying we have the unique ability,
disgusting.
and that's disgusting. We have the
They're
unique
bumping burgers. They're burger bumping.
to
They're
think
burger
out
bumping.
our bodies. So, love is love works.
Yeah,
For
you
us.
suffer from Homo unerectus, which means your wang is hugified not by a woman but by a man.
Yeah, that sounds good.
You know,
That sounds right.
I wanna
Okay,
go back to
I went
something
upstairs. I went upstairs, and all I could think about was if Matt's waiting for me to come back from my pee break, he's got to have a really good point. If he says, "I'm going to wait for Burns to come back,"
I don't know if it's a good point, and I'm gonna catch shit for this, but it's
oh yeah,
it's par for the
it's-
course, kid.
yeah,
you didn't think this
and it's
through.
definitely not going to be publicly acceptable. But I'm going to go back. You were talking about what was it, the DSM-5?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And there was a comparison made, like, when we talk about, it's like, well, I don't, homosexuality, and transgender, it's like, I think they're two very different things. And I'm going to tell you why. And as far as the mental illness part, and you had mentioned that they shouldn't be locked up. I don't necessarily think that that's true. And my reasoning for that is because you're talking about a group of people that is cutting their genitalia and penises off. In my mind, it becomes a self-harm situation. So it's
Agreed.
almost like in some of these cases, especially with these kids that are being, given hormones by parents, these children need to be protected from themselves. And that's where I run into a conflict with, in some cases, I think, that there does need to be oversight on it.
Sure. And going back to what Lynch and I were talking about, and I'm sure Matt was like, I can't find this thread. Matt Marsh. Ding, here you go. And we lost Marsh.
No, he's
I'm back.
And we have Marsh. Going back, I'll wait for Marsh this time. Going back to that thread, it was, I don't think anybody should be locked up. I don't think anybody should do this, but at some point you have to recognize that something's wrong. And it should not be pushed onto the children. Our parents told us for years, and I still believe this to this day, and I tell my daughter this, she is thankfully a year and 10 months away from this time. It says, once you're 18, you want to tell me to fuck off, you tell me to fuck off. You want to tell your mother to fuck off, you tell your mother to fuck off. But until that time, we are still the machine that keeps you alive. And once you're a grown-ass adult human being, all our parents said it, can't stop you from doing what you want to do, but be aware that there are consequences that come along with certain decisions that you are going to make. Now, do I think a 10-year-old has enough? Exactly. Do I think a 10-year-old has enough agency over their body to tell me that a boy is a girl or a girl is a cat or a boy can be a fucking rocket? No. The answer is no. There's a reason 10-year-olds don't go to war. There's a reason 10-year-olds can't buy liquor. There's a reason 10-year-olds can't drive a car or vote. Because you're not even close to being mature enough to handle these decisions. But we're told, well, my 10-year-old thinks that he's a girl, so we're going to dress little Stanley up and call her little Christina. Well, fuck off with that shit.
And parents are facilitating this. It's not
right. And I want to jump in on that point, Matt. You had made the point that they're giving puberty blockers and hormones to these kids as young as 9 and 10 years old. And now the whole myth behind that is, you can just take them off puberty blockers, it'll come back. No, it doesn't.
No.
If you time your body stopped going through the cycle, so it's
never going to go through.
Doesn't kick itself into gear. That's the whole point with fucking adolescence. All of it kicks in at once, and your body has to figure out how to regulate it and and readjust to all the levels.
Yes.
But once you stop going through that human growth hormone that was kicking that was natural inside of you, that was kicking all of that into gear, isn't being produced, and you're done. You are not going to develop shit. You're going to have to take immense amounts of gender creators.
Right.
You're not just hitting the pause button, you're hitting the stop button.
You're hitting the stop button. You're turning off the development. It's not like it develops in the background like a program running in the background on your fucking phone.
The pill they give you is Lupron. The pill they give the kids is Lupron, and that's what they use to chemically castrate people.
I was just going to say that Matt wasn't with us when we did the What is a Woman watch along type thing and reviewed it. And when Lupron came up, when Lupron came up, Lynch and I were on the phone back and forth like, are you reading this about Lupron? Yeah. Okay, so this is sick. This is fucking depraved. Oh, it's completely reversible. No, the damage has been done.
And that's my point.
This isn't the $6 million man. You can't rebuild him bigger, stronger, faster.
Right, you can't. You've turned off the machine.
You have a finite window in time that those changes, happen. And when you stop it, you miss the window.
And here goes more onto that point. So you stop you stop the adolescence, you stop the kids that are going through puberty, natural puberty and adolescence. Flash forward to 21 years old when he wants to have sexual reassignment surgery, there's going to be nothing to work with.
Right.
Because in order to have successful sexual reassignment surgery from male to female, you have had to gone through your normal penis growth because you need some meat to work with.
Right.
So now you're
successful actually means, but okay.
I'm just telling you, I read about all this shit. Okay. And they suggest for males, let them start to grow facial hair and let their penis grow, and then they can go on whatever hormones they want to go on, if they want to have sexual reassignment surgery. But parents are just living vicariously through their fucking kids, and the people I think should be locked up, not the fucking kid. All three of
Those
them.
are the ones that should have been chemically castrated before they had kids.
Correct.
It scares me that an adult human being can hear
Jesus
a child
Christ.
nowadays say, "Mommy," at 7 years old. At 5, 6, 7 years old, it's natural to say, "I want to dress in dresses and shit." I did it. Most boys do it. Have done it throughout time.
Brenton did it. He went through a long stage where there was some wig left over from Tam from Halloween, and he wore it, and he was a princess for the longest time, and it was just.
It's funny. It's normal.
You know what I mean? It wasn't
It's
for
cute.
real. Like he was. Brenton's very metro, and he just got into Disney for a while. He was a fucking princess.
That's
or he
funny
There is not
because
one
that's
of
what-
us.
He wanted long hair. He wanted long hair. Like
That's
a
what
rock
boys
star.
do. That's what
And
kids do.
So he wore wigs and was a rock star and all of that, but not anymore. I mean, you know that
you're out of it.
he turned 5 and we were fine.
And that's
There's
the
not one
problem.
of us here.
I thought he was like 11 or 12 when this was going on. I'm sorry.
There's not one of us.
It was like
There's not.
3.
There's
I
not
just-
one of us here. Back in the day, when we were
That
say,
was the prom king for crying out loud.
Yeah,
You're
I
right.
just visualizing you know, with an 11-year-old who's dressing like a princess. Like that must have been classic. But he was 3. That's different.
He was 3.
there's not later. Ryan, thanks for joining us. There's not one of us here at the ages of say 6 and below who, as a goof, one time put on mom's high heels and walked out and tried to piss off mom and dad and go, "Look at me." Ooh,
Yeah,
and it
I
was
did
the
it.
one. It was the one and only time you did it. Most of us
And
because we got
why?
slapped in the
There
just
you
to
go.
just to piss somebody off. It's not like, oh, this feels good.
No.
Well, yeah,
It's a
well,
mental
back-
illness and it needs to be addressed. And if the people that are espousing this and saying, oh, you know, you're bigoted, you're this, you're that, one more word that I want to bring up is affirmation. When you go to DMV or if you're signing for a marriage license or hell, if you're like me and Herm, you're inside a courtroom at some point in your life. Do you affirm and attest that the testimony you're about to give is absolutely true? What you're saying is, yes, I'm going to tell the truth. That's affirmation. Now, self-affirmation, when you go through therapy, is different. You're telling yourself the things that is very true. You are a good person. You deserve good things. You can do this. The way they use affirmation now is lie to these people. Tell them everything's okay. Make them believe in themselves. It's not up to me to do that.
because we
up
get
to
so
you.
tied up in because we're so tied up in how hurting each other's feelings.
Fuck them.
I can. How many times I've pissed off friends in my life? I hurt
Fuck
their
'em.
feelings
Fuck them.
because they asked me a question that I gave a truthful answer to, and they got pissed off because it wasn't what they wanted to hear.
Oh,
that
you
happens
wait
with-
until I ask the question.
Yeah, my wife does that to me all the time. Don't ask me a question you don't want a truthful answer for. Or
I
then
have
she'll
no
ask me a question.
filters.
She asks me a question, but it's really a statement. Hey, want to go to Target? There's
Not
no,
particularly, but I'll
hey,
go.
would you like to go to Target? Hey, guess what? Get your,
See, my
your
wife
skinny
has
ass, your skinny
years.
ass getting up off the couch and playing Mortal Kombat on your laptop, and you're getting in the car and you're going to Target.
See, my
Why
wife
does she
has
need you to
completely
go to
different
Target with her?
fears. I'm never
It's a
afraid.
thing.
Hey, do you want? Hey, because it's only a couple of places she wants to go. The only places I get scared is fucking Lowe's. So I let her grab a couple of things, small things, right? And she's got her hands full. And once her hands full, she can't grab no more shit. So we're all set with that. That's good. We did that yesterday. I said you got to carry everything you're getting out of here. I'm not
Oh,
carrying
I say
shit.
it to my wife all the time.
There it is.
Hands-
So it
hands
was
full.
we left with very little stuff. My wife has to worry about yeah, I know. My wife has to worry about totally different shit. My wife has to worry about be sitting in the living room on a day off.
On your
and
phone.
no, she's just chilling, doing her thing, and she needs to worry about hearing, yo, get dressed. We're going somewhere to look at something.
Yeah. No, don't know where, don't know what. You gotta look at it.
Yo, get dressed. We're going somewhere to look at something. I gotta go talk to a guy.
It's a
See,
beautiful
that's
thing.
what my wife's really scared of.
It's a beautiful thing.
So why are we afraid to? What is it? Why are we afraid to not the four of us, but our generation and a little bit behind us? Why are we so afraid to face the actual problem? Why don't we? Why doesn't
think
that
I answered
generation? Why doesn't that generation actually not see it as something that maybe somebody should be talking to this kid?
Because as we
Because
pointed
some
out
of us
earlier,
fucked up, and we told everybody they were the most special angel.
we created the
Yes.
monster. Now we have to feed the monster.
My father
The
used
kids
to tell
today-
me that I was nothing special. There was
You know-
nothing special about me at all.
I can make
was a
another one.
I will. When he got really mad because I was getting out of pocket, you ain't shit. You are a grain of sand on a beach in this world. If you want to go be anything more than that, you need to figure some shit the fuck out.
when I was coaching, one of the things, there was a young lady on one of the softball teams I coached. After I got out of boys coaching, I thought softball would be easier. Wrong. Just didn't want to do drills, didn't want to do anything. I'm the best player on this team. And I sat her down. I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. You are the best player on this team. But look across to that other field over there. There's a girl over there waiting to kick your ass. So you got to work hard to be better than her. Now, once you get to be better than her, there's a kid in another town that's going to beat your ass. You got to work to be better than her. The minute you stop and think, I can just rest, you're fucked. I tried to teach these kids it's okay to lose because, God, half the beauty of success.
Correct your
Is-
fucking mistake and go do it
You learn
again.
more from losing than
Bingo.
winning.
That's right.
Yo,
that's the U.S. military uses that fucking philosophy. They get more training value per dollar if they get into a light skirmish and lose because they cut themselves and sent in not full artillery and not full weaponized like planes in a skirmish. They get more training value per dollar spent out of losing a little skirmish.
That's it.
That they planned to use for all of the soldiers to
And it
not
comes
lose.
down to 3 words, Herm.
And
You have
does
nailed
to
it.
Train them.
Not trust
Tell
the
me your
science.
tell me your dad taught you these 3 words. Because my grandfather taught me, and the Army certainly taught me: improvise, adapt, overcome. You lose. Okay, dust yourself off. Are you above the grass? Yes. Are you breathing? Yes. Are you angry? Hell
Yeah,
yes.
see, my dad was
Improvise,
special,
adapt, overcome.
special forces, so he basically came home with you need to be 5 steps ahead of everybody at all times.
Bingo.
You need to be the smartest person in the room, and you need to take no shit from anybody.
Think outside.
Same conversation.
You
I had
need
the
to be
same
5
conversation.
steps ahead of everybody, the smartest person in the room.
Why do you think I gravitated towards like surveillance?
Because you're a people
My dad-
dumb
my
and you
dad-
like.
And my dad grew me up to be a paranoid.
Yeah.
I always want to be
I
looking.
grew up on cops.
My house runs like a fucking military installation around here.
I remember, and I'm going to tell this.
The only reason I don't have camera visual machine guns mounted on the roof is because I don't have a federal firearms license yet.
I'm going to tell you this story.
Yet.
When my dad retired, it was part of
I have
it was
the
part of the
application.
write up. It was part of the write up in the paper. We're coming home from a fishing trip, and to get to where we lived in Baltic, from where Dad kept the boat in Gales Ferry, you got to go through Greenville, Route 12.
Ooh.
And we're sitting at the light at the at the 3-way. There's the convenience store at the V. If you went, we were headed. We were coming down North Main, and it was meeting up with Boswell. So if you at the Boswell goes this way, 12 goes this way.
Yep.
And my dad is in the car, and he's looking. He goes, Chris, can you see that license plate? I said, yeah. He goes, remember that plate number. Okay. So I looked. It's a Rhode Island plate. I can still remember it in my head. YZ7717.
No, that was my
And-
car.
Well, funny you should say that. My dad went down the road to where the A&P, which eventually became Starwood, which is now like a homeless encampment,
Yeah.
pulled in, called the police station from the payphone and said, listen, just saw a car, late model, little Toyota gimmick. Here's the plate number. My kid got the plate number. I have a feeling that the mini mart's about to get robbed. Cops slowly move into the area. The mini mart gets robbed. They catch the guys in about 13 seconds.
Intuition, man.
I grew up around this shit. I know. I've seen it. There's a reason I like true crime this and true crime that. I like to pick shit apart. And that's why this, somebody asked me not too long ago, the whole transgender thing, why do you pick this hill to die on? You have so many other things you could go after. Why this? Because I fear for the children. I fear for the children. I'd rather somebody try to tell my daughter the earth is flat, even though I hate those morons. But don't tell my daughter that a man can be a better woman than you.
I got to be honest. I don't fear for the children. I to a degree. Then again, I like the trans movement for one reason and one reason only. Especially with everybody wanting to have surgery. I truly believe the planet needs a restriction on population.
Cleansing.
So I'm
I
okay
can
with
kill that
everybody.
argument.
I'm okay. You know what I mean? I'm okay. I think we need to drop the
I don't
population.
disagree there.
So,
I disagree,
creating a
and I'll
bunch of
tell you
people
why.
that can't breed. I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with natural selection. Only the strong survive, When you say overpopulated, I love the fact that, there was a study done not too long ago by one of the top medical institutions where, they take the average size of a human being. Now, nobody is the same size. We know this. If you took everybody in America, including the 2 outlier states that aren't connected to us, and you put them shoulder to shoulder, front to back, asshole to asshole, everybody in the country could fit inside Texas. We're not overpopulated. We have created it's not an open world anymore. Everywhere you look, there's a gas station here, and every 35 feet, there's a Dollar General here. We have less open space than we had 30 years ago.
You can call it whatever you want. Get rid of a bunch of those people. We have more space. I don't
Natural selection. I'm good. Dude, I'm with you.
This mental illness is a form of natural selection if you let them cut their dick off.
I can't argue with that. And that's why, like, when I was watching that last Avengers movie, I was kind of like, I get it.
Yeah.
He snaps his fingers and half of everything goes away.
Women that want to be men have an easier time switching back, but being a man and going through surgery, you're done, bro.
Well,
you're done. You can't create shit.
Most female to male,
probably for the best.
Most female to male transitioners get a hysterectomy. I mean, so even then, you can go back, but you're not ever.
Right, you're
not having a kid.
Right, you're not having a kid.
You're not breeding.
So there's
probably
let them come at me, but it's a form of population control, and I'm okay with it.
And to your point, Matt, about the Avengers,
probably sure I'm I'm some sort of ist, and I'm archaic, but I believe it's a mental illness, so I also believe that them doing a self-sterilization, I'm okay with that.
When the top psychologist in the country says that the only reason they say these they are slurs, they're insults. The only reason they say this is because you're employing logic, and they don't like logic.
Well, because it's inconvenient. It
deflates
the argument.
Well,
it deflates their theory.
Yeah, because slurs are only slurs to those that it matter.
Agreed.
And let me expound on what I mean by that and expand on it. Caleb, Jen's son, when he was in school, I did something. We were talking, and I started talking about Eskimos. Now, he had been taught in school that it was a slur.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wait. In certain countries, it is a slur.
Oh,
All right. And in those countries, they prefer to be called Inuit. And now, but my problem with Inuit is that Inuit is technically only 2 of the 3 tribes that it is of those people left of their genetic lines. And
yeah.
and even those people in America don't mind are fine with Eskimo. Okay. So I was, but that was Caleb's front porch.
Uh-huh.
You thought I might as well just said the N-word with a really hard R. But you know what I mean? Like I was like, yeah, I was talking to this black guy. He was a really ugly, and you might as well
ninja.
Look on his face, and like I had said the most horrible thing. Like I'd call his mother a cunt, but it was just, and I was like, Caleb, that's in a completely different country. I said, I think they were telling you about how the word is used and that in other countries it is used this way. But it was kind of funny, but it's kind of the same thing. It's a racial slur. No, it isn't.
No, it's not.
Else. Somewhere else
Speaking
it is. In
Speaking of
another
the
culture it is. Yes.
speaking of the racial,
I mean, they call a cigarette a fag in England.
Yeah,
yes, they do.
All right, you can't walk down the street and, hey, where can I get a box of fags here? You're gonna have a problem. But if you go over there and say, hey, you got a fag, you will get a cigarette. It's
Yo,
Yes.
mate,
The
smell a
smoking
fag?
fag here is a whole different thing.
Yeah, smoking
Yeah,
fag here in America is
Okay,
completely
Before I make my point, I'm gonna go back to that. All of us here have known each other in one way, shape, or form for years. Lynch and I for 25 years. Herm and I since 1861. Matt and I since 1989. How many times and I've probably said it to each one of you, whether it was back then or a week ago, dude, take your skirt off. Stop being such a fag.
Oh,
Know your
yeah,
audience.
yeah.
Let's
And
start
it's kinda
there.
like-
Know your audience.
It's like the South Park scene when they're in court.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that guy rumbles down the street at 10
Right,
p.m., what do you say?
No. We would never call a homosexual person a fag. That would just be rude and inconsiderate and a horrible thing to do. Well, how do you know I'm not a fag? Do you ride your Harley up and down the street making a lot of noise, revving the
At
shit out of it?
10:30 p.m.?
10:30 p.m.? No, then you're not a fag.
Exactly. In this world of this bullshit, and I think it was Herm that pointed it out. It's entitled, privileged white people who are standing on some sort of soapbox who is making all this happen.
That's
I
the
brought
whole
up
woke movement, that whole woke concept.
I brought up 3 separate instances on a Facebook post last night. Aunt Jemima lost her bottle and her reputation because, heaven forbid, a black lady, it's terrible that she's on there. No, she was a symbol of what black women were becoming. And as the equality rose, Aunt Jemima was that symbol. We took her away.
Yeah, her and Uncle Ben got fucked.
She was a complete hero to
Exactly.
to black people at the time.
Uncle Ben,
Aunt Jemima,
same thing.
Uncle
I love
Ben.
Aunt Jemima.
Pearl Milling.
The one that pisses me off the worst is Land O'Lakes. We took the Indian away,
Indian.
but we kept the land. Good job, woke folk. You
See,
fucking
this is why I
morons.
go Mrs. Butterworth. Just yes,
Mrs. Butterworth.
No, she creeped me out.
Look,
I'm an Aunt Jemima guy.
I have to look. My mom's from Vermont. I have sealed gallons of maple syrup over there from her brother's maple syrup farm in Vermont that are years old, but they're sealed, so they're good. It's like
Beautiful.
honey, it doesn't go bad. So if I only eat the real shit, and Jen says I'm really fucking bougie because of it.
No, you're not, because I'll say this.
But if I'm gonna
yes.
eat fake syrup, it
What?
can only be Mrs. Butterworth's.
She
Butterworth,
creeped me
like
out.
Mrs.
That bottle
Butterworth.
talked. No.
Oh, I like
But
that.
That bitch is sexy. She got a
having
fat
Yes,
having
she
a
was.
daughter
She got a fat ass.
Look at that thick
She had
ass.
such
That bitch make
She's
good
such a
pancakes, and she got a fat ass. Miss
Yeah.
Butterworth
She is
was my ideal
Syrup
wife.
everywhere.
having a daughter and a niece and family that lives in Vermont. I don't not come home without some sort of authentic Vermont maple syrup. I've made syrup runs for people because, hey, you're going up to get Emma. Can you bring me back a bottle or two of this? Yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna get you the real shit. But when it comes down to syrup, I'm not a bougie guy. I'll use whatever's on the table. But if I have my preference, it was Aunt Jemima. But let's be honest, since it became the Pearl Milling Company, you, sir, or ma'am, may fuck off. I'm not buying your shit anymore. I'd rather buy Stop and Shop or Walmart brand than give the
Log
Pearl
Cabin.
Milling Company.
Log Cabin.
Log Cabin was the
Log
shit
Cabin.
back in the
Log
day.
Cabin. You can still
I
get
like
Log Cabin.
But now I just like real
If I
syrup.
did
I
fake
go into
syrup,
that
it has
processed
to.
shit.
If I have fake syrup, it can't just be regular pancake syrup. It has to be the butter flavor. That's
Right.
why I like Mrs. Butterworth's.
Yeah,
So if you
I
can get
love
the
that.
Log Cabin in the butter flavor, I'll take that too. But it's got to be not trying to be maple syrup for me, or I just get fucking disgusted.
I love
I
the
used to
butter
like
one.
it because it would spill all down the bottle, and I would lick Mrs. Butterworth with my tongue and get all the syrup off, and it
Nigga,
was
you
delicious.
need help.
Did
You
you
I
need
focus
tried it
help.
with
on?
Aunt Jemima, but there was a lot
You know
more
what?
gas.
Did you
I've
spin
seen
her
things
around and get the
looking in
booty?
chat, and I thought, Matt might be a good candidate for a therapist. But then we have tonight's show, and I know that you need help. You need something. Oh my God! I used to just Mrs. Butterworth. I'm so sorry.
Matt, what are you
Mrs.
doing
Butterworth.
downstairs?
Fucking Mrs. Butterworth fucking gonna be is hashtag me too. What the fuck?
Matt, what
I
are you
Matt
doing up
Marsh.
at? What are you doing up
Matt
at 2 in the
Marsh.
morning,
Aunt
Matt?
Jemima and Mrs.
For
Butterworth.
real, Matt up in his room in the dark with a Mrs. Butterworth bottle and a bottle of Jergens. What the hell?
I'm
And
cleaning
Aunt
Mrs.
Jemima.
Butterworth. I'm cleaning
It was a
Mrs.
threesome.
Butterworth's booty hole.
Every pancake in the house has a hole in the middle. What the hell?
You've heard the expression that so and so is the so and so of this. Well, Matt
Yeah.
Marsh is the Harvey Weinstein of syrup.
Yeah.
Hashtag Mrs. Butterworth too.
Oh my God, he's Jared from Subway. For
But I didn't discriminate.
good God,
Oh my God.
good God.
Well,
Aunt Jemima and
If
Mrs.
any-
Butterworth together again.
if any of the cowards had any nuts up
Super.
underneath their skirt or whatever it is they wear in Canada, if y'all tuned in, hope you learned something. If you didn't, go fuck yourself sideways with a rake handle. I really don't care anymore. The gloves are off. I lost it. That video last night. If guys, Lynch watched it, go back and watch it. I'm angry, and I'm angry for the right reason because this is, like Herm said a year or two ago, it's a quality of outcome. It's not actual quality. You can make fun of me for being a religious man, but I can't make fun of a chick with a dick. No, either the playing field is level or it's not. Go fuck yourself. I haven't been this angry in years.
On a throwing gas on the fire and playing devil's advocate note.
Here we go.
Couldn't
The
all of
drums are
boys-
playing.
That's all right. It's my I control all that shit. Couldn't the boys have just gone into the bathroom and used the bathroom for the need that they needed to use the bathroom for and left?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure. And
I'm just
couldn't
saying,
be
you know what I
feminine-
mean? Like it's
Oh,
it-
sure. No, you're
it
right.
had-
You know, yeah,
nobody
Let
was
me-
pushing anything on them. Nobody was like,
Wouldn't have
"Boy,
made a
needs to put a
statement."
tampon in their ass." I
Let me
understand
ask you-
they're
let-
making a statement, but also their statement, it was a criminal act.
let me
Yeah,
answer your
pretty
question
Now
with a
you look
question.
bad, and now they look bad.
Let me answer your question with a
Yeah.
question. Is there a condom dispenser in the female bathroom for the trans men?
Yes.
Thought of that.
Usually, usually there's condom dispensers in both bathrooms because both people take part in that act. That allows women to empower themselves. To
Oh,
bring-
correct. But only one part of that menstrates, and it belongs in the other bathroom.
Well,
I like where you're going, though. I like where
either,
you're going.
it gives that's a birth control thing, and I think that option is allowed to be in both bathrooms. It should. A woman should be allowed to make that choice.
Here.
And, hey, you gotta put this on, my man.
Here, I'm going to leave you guys with the last word before the end of the song because I'm just not in the mood. You know what? Make a decision for yourself. Pack your own fucking tampons. I don't give a shit. If you're in an emergency, great. But until men menstruate, keep it out of the fucking bathroom.
There it is.
I just need to go get some Mrs. Butterworth's.
Oh my God!
Apparently, Matt's having pancakes for dinner.
A little bit.
Pancakes and syrup without the pancakes.
It's the whipped cream you gotta worry about.
Of a dying world. Exactly.
I mean, I gotta be honest. I'm kind of okay with the whole Thanos finger snap thing. I mean, I think a bunch of people need to go away. I don't like people.
I was watching it, diehard fan my whole life with like the comics and the heroes, but I'm watching that go down and I'm just like, I fucking get it. And
I think I get that
I think
shit.
he's onto something.
Have a good night, everybody.
It's a